Hello, 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 everyone. How's it going? How's everyone doing? Welcome to day 2 of GHW and part 3 of our interactive maps visualization. Reduce the background music a bit. Okay. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Hope you're enjoying GHW so far, and I hope you're learning a lot of new things, building a lot of new projects, and yeah, uh, we'll wait for a couple of more minutes, let folks join. But if you have joined and if you have not registered, may I kindly request you all to please register for this stream, for this session. You can register using this link that goes in the chat. So, first, hello everyone. And please register here. Okay, so please register for this session here. I would really appreciate if you do. Helps you keep track, helps me keep track, helps MLH keep track, right? So yeah. Hey, hi, how's it going? Okay, so what are we going to do? So today is part 3 slash final part of the session, which means that I will give everything that I know in this stream. Basically, if we have done a couple of things till now, I'll do a recap of what we have done. So folks who are joining for the first time, they can look it out or check it out, understand okay what's been done till now, and folks who have uh, want a quick recap, even they will kind of feel helpful from this. And then after the recap, I will show you a new data set, a third and final data set that I have, and we will do some visualization of it on maps. Then towards the end of it, if we have time, I will also show you how to, number one, push the code that you have on Replit to GitHub, and secondly, uh, also deploy the web app that we have created to Streamlit Cloud. Okay, so we are going to use the free version Streamlit Community Cloud and deploy our application. And then you can share it with your friends, family members, teammates, anyone and everyone uh, who would benefit from it, right? So we'll, depending on the time, we will do all of that. Uh, and I do want to do that. So if I kind of start hurrying a bit, please excuse me. Uh, but I would really appreciate if you all stay with me and code along. Now, a couple of links before we get started. If you are okay, actually, let me go back to what we had first, and then couple of links. So number one, uh, I had asked you all to create an account on Replit. Okay, so I hope you have an account on Replit and you have been following along till now. If you haven't, let me quickly go over recap. Create an account on replit.com, which is right here. The link goes in the chat. Okay, after creating an account, uh, all you had to do was go into templates and search for a Python template. I think this is too zoomed out. Let me zoom in a bit. Yep, this should be good enough. So you had to search for not Python, Python, and use template, give it a name, description, and you would enter into the templates. Then I had already created a template, of course, yesterday. We were going through this GHW data week template that I had. And what did we have after that? We wrote some bits and pieces of code. Specifically, like we had this main.py file, which was kind of an entry point to our different maps that we were creating. We visualized the state and city map, not city, capital city specifically, states and capital cities of India map using scatter map or scatter map box here. And we also did, even though I said that it wouldn't be perfect for this kind of data, we still tried to do it, which was Choropleth Mapbox. Yeah, where we gave it our own GeoJSON file, which contained the coordinates for every state. And then we visualized the data of AF, which is American Airlines flight paths. Okay. I got the data from Plotly's datasets, but we used Folium, which was another library, to actually visualize this dataset. Initially, we visualized it. We created lines on map to show different, like, start and end, airport 1 to airport 2 route of different aeroplanes. And then towards the end, we also created a custom icon, which was nothing but an aeroplane icon, an airplane icon, and showed that on the map. So now, quickly, let me, after so much of words, let me also showcase what we had. So Streamlit run main dot, wow, sorry, somehow it froze. No, I don't. And yep, this starts and you can't see it. You have multiple options. One is to go into web view, like this pane that opens, and click on the show web content option. Or you can also click on the settings icon and get this dev URL. So once it loads, we can see what it looks like. Yeah, so this is the AA flight paths. This is what we created. On click of the plane, you get a pop-up saying from where to where, and this index was something that we added. So 159, let's say. Uh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yep, this one. So HNL to SFO. HNL seems like Honolulu. So yep, we have our custom icon. We also did the state city scatter map. We also actually kind of went into different types of map tiles that are available. There was OpenStreetMap, there was Carto Dark Matter, there was Carto Positron when we were using like Plotly. And for uh, Folium, we had Carto DB Positron, Carto DB Dark Matter, and the default is OpenStreetMap. And yeah, we plotted that, and then the state city core pleth map, which takes time to load because it actually calculates the boundaries of a state by going through a GeoJSON file, which you remember was like what 27,000 lines, so enormous. Okay. Yep. And this was on dark matter, again pop-ups. So yeah, we did all of that. Now, if you want, if you have not attended session 1 and session 2, I would say that there's a good news that it is available on YouTube. I mean, it always is. So the part 1 of the session is on YouTube. There's this. Okay, so you can check out the part 1 of the session that we did, and the part 2, which was actually again yesterday itself. So we did the part 2 yesterday after part 1 with the 1 hour break in between, and this is the part 2 of the session. So check those out. And the part 3 currently is what I'm live streaming, so it will be available on YouTube. So go to Major League Hacking, Hacking's YouTube channel, go under the live tab, and there you can find it. Okay. And the code. Okay, so the code that we have till now, if you want to copy paste that and follow along with me, so you can actually do that, of course. So if you are just joining and you want to quickly get started, you can just copy paste all the code that I have written till now, including the data. Okay, so just create the files with the same name. So state underscore city underscore data dot JSON, state city map dot py, a flight paths CSV, and this. You don't need to create the flight underscore paths dot HTML. That will get automatically created when you run this part of the code. Yeah, this one. Okay, so and by running, all you have to do is go into your shell and type streamlit run main.py. Let me add that again. Okay, so that and the previous code is here. So once, like I hope that was a good quick revision till now, and I'll wait again for like let's say a couple of more seconds, and then we can get started to the next part. Okay, let people grasp in. Also, give me 1 second. I really need to close the window. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, noise cancellation. Okay, I think that should be it. And now let's move on and do the next part. The next part is interesting because we are going to plot top 1,000 global companies. Okay, the in not interesting. In our previous data sets that we already had the latitude and longitude slash longitude of like of the thing that we wanted to plot. Okay, so in this case this lat and long of the different capitals already existed. When we wanted to plot the path of a flight of a American Airlines flights, we had the start latitude, the start longitude, the end latitude, and the end longitude. So precise latitude and longitude information was available. But what if you don't have that? What if you actually have just the country name? How do you plot that? How do you tell Folium or Plotly or any other plotting library that you're using that, hey, this is the country name? Can you plot this? So that is a challenge that we are going to look at today and try and resolve that. So step one, I will ask you to create a new file. You can give it any name that you want. I would prefer to call it global underscore companies underscore map dot py. Okay. So this is the place where we will have our global companies map. So step one that we did yesterday as well was import streamlit as st, and step two that we did with all our Python files with all our Python files in all our Python files was create a quick function. So def global underscore companies underscore map. Yep. So say I tried to give it the same name as the file name, and then we gave it a subheader. So st dot subheader will be global distribution of top companies, right? So we did all of this in all the other files that we have created, which is like not too much, just two files. Then we went into our main.py and we imported this file, right? So from global companies map, import global companies map. Then we create normally a sidebar dictionary. Now we can, like, I'm adding it to the top, you can add it to the bottom, but just remember that every time you open Streamlit or reload Streamlit, it selects the first radio option. And yesterday I asked someone that, if you can find how to fix a particular thing, that would be nice, as in like by default which radio button should be chosen should not be that difficult if this is an array. You can think of it like you can fix a position, but I'm not going into that. I will just have a very simple one. So global companies map, and that is going to call this function that we created. Don't forget a comma after that, and that's it. Now if you right click, you can get the format document option, or you can also do control S if you're on Windows, or command S if you're on Mac, uh, to format the file. What's the problem here? Unsorted or unformatted? Unsorted. STA. Let's say this, and then this. Nah, I don't know what's the problem. But anyways, I think that is it. Okay, so I did command S right now and quickly like formatted it. So hopefully you all have created everything till now. And now let me get out of your hair so you can focus completely on the code. So once you have done this, you can go into your main, like the dev URL that is open, give it a refresh, and as you can see, global companies map, global distribution of top companies. The screen is blurry. Interesting. Is it a problem for everyone? I don't know. Is it network lag? Maybe my Wi-Fi, maybe your Wi-Fi. I'm not too sure. Sorry. I'll wait. Let it stabilize a bit. Okay, perfect. So okay, the screen is clear now. Okay, and yeah, like anytime you face anything, like just let me know in the chat, and let's see how we can solve it. Okay, just to follow a tradition that we have been doing, adding comments. So add a not ab, add a subtitle. Okay, what's next? So we need the data set. Like we don't have the data set yet. So let's add that data set. I will. So the name that I have given is companies underscore data dot csv. And if you were a part of my February AI ML stream, it's actually the same data set uh, that we had used to actually visual. I think we had done the visualization, right, of the top 1,000 companies based based on the day that I had got the data set on. Don't exactly remember the day and date, but on that day, Apple was like at rank one with 2.866 trillion dollar market cap. Then on two was Microsoft with 2.755, and so on and so forth. So I don't exactly remember when this data set was scraped slash downloaded, but I just know like this is like we are going to use basically the same data set. What are we going to plot this time? We are going to plot like based on the company name, which is like in this case, let's say Apple, Microsoft, Saudi Aramco, Saudi Arabian Oil Company. I think that should be it. And the country that they are a part of. So, like, let's say this is United States, Saudi Arabia, United States, lots in United States, right? So, we're going to plot exactly this data set. And yeah, so how do you get the data set? Well, by now it should have been synced. Let me check in incognito if it has synced. So I can pass you my Replit link and you can actually copy paste it from there. It just takes a bit of time to sync. Okay, yep, the company's data is here. Like I checked in incognito, which kind of means that it should be there. So everyone, please get the data set from here. And if someone can like quickly point out that they have copied it, I would appreciate it. Copied. Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'll take that everyone now has the data. Let's move on. So once we have the data, uh, and we have added the data, the next thing that we kind of did in our previous ones was create a path to data, uh, variable slash constant, and all we did was just go over here, right click, and you can say copy file path. Since it's in the root, so it doesn't matter, you can just give the name. So that's the name of the file that we had. Once we have the data copied in, then we were loading it using pandas, right? So let's add that part of code. So companies underscore data is what I am going to like name the variable, and then we do pd dot read underscore csv, and we give it the path to data. Now what is this pd? It is pandas, which we have not imported yet, so let's do that. So import pandas as pd. Okay, so we are importing pandas as pd, like giving it a short name. Wow, my bad. Sorry, I was just taking this on top because it was complaining when it was at the bottom, like it's not sorted. So I kind of sorted it. Yep. So companies underscore data is pd dot read csv. It's a csv file. And then again, following along what we were doing previously, we were doing something like st dot data frame, and then we were plotting it, right? So we can go like companies underscore data. And if your Streamlit app is running, which it should be right now, if not, remember Streamlit run main.py. Okay, that's the command that you need to type in shell. Okay, shell. Please notice this shell, not console. Let's go back, and you can see this rerun button here. You can click on it, and there we have it. Okay, we have the dataset being plotted. We already have a ranking column, so we don't need this particular auto generated column that we are getting, right? There's another thing, we can actually tell pandas that we have a indexed column. Like there's a column which you can call it as an index column. So I can do index underscore call equals to ranking. Okay, what does this do? So by doing that, we have told pandas that, hey, there is a column which we would like you to think as the natural number column, or that is the column that you can focus as an index. And then we don't need to tell Streamlit that please hide the auto-generated index column, because then it kind of understands from this part of the code that, oh, there's already an index column, I don't need to create an auto generated one. So for folks who are not understanding like what am I referring to, uh, so yesterday we were doing this hide underscore index equals to true, which was hiding that auto generated column, but this time we don't need to do it because we already have our specific index column. Okay, so that is nice. Now, uh, since I have already prepared for this session, I know for a fact that there are some pieces of data here which you don't really need to see in the table, specifically like market cap, stock, and sector and industry, not needed. All we need, like whatever, what do we need to plot? We need the company name and we need the country, okay, and maybe the ranking. So we can actually hide what is being plotted on the st.data frame. So this is to show a table. Now we can specify uh, which columns of data we want to plot. So you can go inside this st.data frame, you can go like uh, ranking, I would say, is one that we want, and we want company, and we want country. So these are the three columns that we want to plot. So this is a data frame, so from that data frame we are taking out these three columns. And oh, I don't think you can do something like this. Yeah. Okay, so the index will already be plotted. All we need to plot is the remaining two columns, which is company and country. So now we have the name of the company and we have the name of the country. Interesting thing, you can click on this country column header and it will kind of sort it for you. So just easy, right? Similarly, you can sort it by company and ranking. So yeah, with that, hmm, we have loads here, 1,000 to be precise. Okay, moving on. Uh, let's start with, let's discuss actually about how do we convert the country name to a proper latitude and longitude, like give it a proper precise location to plot. So in this case, we will need to use a separate library. It is called as GeoPy. And do I have that open? I don't think so. Yeah. So we will need to use this GeoPy Python library that will help us to kind of convert the names of the country to a precise latitude and longitude. Okay. So how do you do that? So you need to use, like in the GeoPy, you need to kind of specify one of the geocoders. There are multiple geocoders that are available. There is like this nominatim, which you can use, like, you call it and give it a user agent. Now this user agent is very interesting thing. It is supposed to be kind of a unique name, so that this nominatim, what is this nominatim? It's another, like, let's say a company, or it's a piece of code that's running on some other server, and they want to know who is pinging their API. So the user agent part, it helps them understand who is pinging the API. Normally it would be like specify your app name here, you can give call it anything. But if you give it the same name, like if every one of us gives it the same name, what will happen is that nominatim, sorry, nominatim might block you. Okay, it will go like, oh, I'm getting a lot of pings from the same user agent, so they might block you and you will start getting uh, error 429, I think. So we have to ensure that whatever user agent name that I'm writing, don't exactly write the same. Give it a different username. So the way it is working is like we call that user agent, that geocoder agent, give it a geocoder agent and give it a different name, and you can give it a proper address, and it kind of gives you back on the location dot address part. It gives you back a proper like a full address. So you gave it like half of it, and it kind of gives you a full address. It also returns you a very precise latitude and longitude of, like, example, this address. So you might have understood by now what we are going to do in our code. So in our code, we are going to give it the name of the country here, and it will give return us I think a kind of a midpoint of that country's map. So if, like, let's say we give it USA, so it will kind of return somewhere in the USA one of the locations, uh, latitude and longitude, and that is where we will plot the company name. So we are not going to precisely plot that, okay, Apple is headquartered in California. We'll just say that based on our data, it's in United States, so we will just plot it somewhere in United States. We'll put a marker or a pinpoint somewhere in United States. Now, Nominatim is one of the geocoder that is available. They have a lot. Uh, there's like one called as Photon as well, and you can read more about Photon here. Okay, I hope that was kind of understandable. Once we start writing the code, it will give a better idea of what's happening exactly. So, step one, let's add that. So, we are going to initialize a geocoder with a user agent. Okay, so I'm going to give it a variable. So I will call it geolocator, and that will call nomi nominatim. Where am I getting that from? If you remember, not too much. It's just nominatim. So nominatim and the user agent name. So I'm going to just paste exactly that. Now specify your app name here. Again, a very humble request to everyone, just so that we all don't start getting rate limits. Please ensure that it is kind of unique. Don't copy mine. So global, I don't know, wait, I can give it GHW underscore data week underscore UT. Okay, and we have not imported nominatim, so we need to import that. The way to import it is from geopy.geocoders import nominatim. So I'm going to actually from geopy.geocoders import nominatim. Yes. But what about this geopy.geocoders? Where is that coming from? We also need to add that. So there should be some place where it will tell us how to install it. Yep, there it is. Pip install geopy. So if you remember, we had discussed that Replit is very smart. It can, if you click on this run button, it will check through your imports and import it. But we also know that we can do the same. We can run this pip command in the shell. So I'm going to click on this clear shell option, paste the pip install geopy, hit enter, let it install. And I will also paste that command in the chat for everyone to see. So once you have installed geopy, uh, depends how long will it take for this error to go away. uh, but it is installed. Like, how do I know? Like, trust me. uh, okay, let me rerun Streamlit. So Streamlit run main.py, hit enter, let Streamlit start, click on this, open the link, and that's it. So add your initials or your full name or something else here. I am repeating again. Please make sure that the user agent is different. Okay. Now, once you have done that, once you have initialized a geocoder, we can go to the next step, which is to create a Folium map. So map, oh, we should also import Folium. It must be already installed. If it is not installed, oh, also for folks who are joining today for the first time, if you have copied every line of code that I have written, like every file and every line, and you don't know like which command to run to install the different libraries, just click on this run button. Okay, please click on this run button, and it will install all the libraries that you are using. Okay, now we had already uh, added Folium yesterday, so I can just do like import Folium, and I'm going to rename it as FO, short form. So map equals to FO dot map. We saw this in our, what do you call, uh, documentation, and in our session yesterday, like fo dot map. You have to give it a location, and the location I'm going to give, it needs a latitude and longitude, so I'm just going to say 20 comma 0. And initial zoom level, so zoom underscore start will be 4, which I think is the same that we, the zoom level is the same that we gave yesterday. And we also did a couple of other things, but let's start with the most easy part, which would be, can we, so yesterday we gave the location as like this particular location. So if we want, actually, we can kind of give that exactly. So I'm going to give location as 37.09 and minus 95.71. And then we also know that yesterday, to plot it, we had to kind of do this map dot save, like save it as HTML and open it and, yeah, read it. So I'm going to do that again today, just so that we can see the map, how it looks like. So save the map as HTML file. So to do that, what are we going to do? We can just do map dot save uh, dot slash company. Don't even need dot slash. We can do like companies underscore map dot html, and then we can create a variable like html file equals to, we tell it to open. Okay, open this particular html file that we have saved. So companies underscore map dot html, open it in read mode so that people, like, so the program can read it. And the encoding is utf-8, which is a character set. There are different character sets. There's ASCII, utf-16. I don't know if there's utf-32. I don't remember from the top of my head, but utf-8 is the popular ones. And you can again give it the same name that we had given here. So let's say my map equals to nothing but html file dot read it. And then to display it, we were doing, what did we do? We did components dot html my map and a height. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it. So components dot html my map, which is the variable here, and the height of the map, that like initial height. What is this components? It comes from Streamlit. So we can actually do something like from uh, streamlit dot components dot v1. uh, no, it wouldn't be from, it was, I think, import, actually. Yeah, import streamlit dot components dot v1 as components. Oh, components with a small c. Perfect. So this is what we are doing. We did the same yesterday, so nothing changes as such. And now, if we go over to our main.py, refresh the page, we can see United States map, like we can see the map of the world. And remember, folium by default, it is, the tile set is OpenStreetMap, but if you want to change it, you can. uh, how do we do that? We just define tiles equals to, so example, tiles equals to, you can go like carto db dark matter, go over here, reload, and you have a dark map. And what about if I give it a location of 20 comma 0? Where does that plot? Somewhere here, like Africa, South Africa, Africa. Yeah. Okay. So you can give it whatever you want to give it. The zoom level, if I, let's say, go start as 1, like the initial zoom level is 1, then you actually see everything. I think zoom start as 2 should be good. Yeah, gives you view of nearly all of the continents. And I'm going to keep it in light mode so that it's much more visible, and I will keep it as the default, which is OpenStreetMap. So yep, I do that, and let's go back, reload it, and yep, that's what it looks like. Okay, nice. So I hope everyone has followed along till now. You have saved it to a file. You have tried changing the user agent. You have tried to uh, yeah, just try. Like, you have done everything that I have. As you can see, this companies.html file, it gets created here on the left hand side. You can find it there. And let me share this piece of code in the chat. So if anyone's left behind a bit, you can quickly follow along. I'll wait for like 10 seconds and then we can move ahead. Okay, I think that should be good enough. Now moving on. So now we have created or initialized a geolocator. We have created a map. We can see the map. The next important thing now, also let me add a bunch of comments. So this is where we uh, create a folium map. And now the next thing, the interesting bit would be to add a marker cluster to handle multiple markers. Okay, so what do I mean here? Uh, if I go over to Folium, actually, let's first go over to our data set. If you see the data set, and it is pretty obvious by now, there are multiple companies which are in the same country, right? So, like, at least, let's say there are 20 things in Australia, 20 companies in Australia. Now, if there are 20 companies in Australia, that also means that there will be 20 markers Like think of it as 20 aeroplane icons in the same country. The problem is that there is no precise address, like street address or a county address, state address, something of the company. We just know that it's somewhere in Australia. So when our geocoder returns latitude and longitude, it will give somewhere, like let's assume for Australia, the geocoder will return that all the companies are situated here somewhere. Like if you can see my mouse move, all the companies are situated somewhere here. That is what the geocoder will return. Now, 20 markers will look bad. So Folium offers something called as a marker cluster. So if I go over to the documentation, marker cluster, if you see this two written, okay, it means that there are two markers right here. Okay, there are two markers right here, which are kind of like overlapping or very close to each other. Once you click on that, then it separates it. So we need this cluster of markers. In our case, it could be like in on Australia, there are like 20, like it would give a number like 20. It will say 20, and there would be a marker cluster circle with 20 on it. Once we click on it, then it will separate out the markers. I hope that kind of makes sense a bit. Once we actually see it, like visualize it, it would be much better understandable. But like right now, as you can see, there's like there are 8 points here. You click on it and they separate out, like there are four here, and then there are still two and two. You click on it again and it separates out. So marker cluster is good to kind of understand uh, from a holistic point of view. And if you want to read more about it, let me share the link in the chat. There you go. So that is about marker cluster and when do we use it and why should we use it. So let's add a piece of code which allows us to add marker cluster. So all we need to do is just go like marker underscore cluster. It is going to call that marker cluster like this. So we need to do like, I'm basically writing exactly this line. Marker underscore cluster equals to marker cluster and then dot add to. And what is M? M in this case is the folium map. Now we are not calling it M, we are calling it map. So I'm going to copy this line. Or let me type it. Typing won't hurt. Marker cluster dot add underscore to, add to the map that we have initialized, right? So marker cluster as a function dot add to map, but this marker cluster, it is not imported yet. So let's import that. Where is it going to come from? Well, very simple. From from folium dot plugins import marker cluster. Okay, so let's do that. I'm not going to sort it anymore. Tired of it. So from folium dot plugins import marker cluster. But I'm going to try and format this. So format document, right click and format document. Didn't change anything, frankly. Uh, yeah, it is kind of, it seems to me already formatted. Also, let me add some spacing between our different lines. Would make it much more understandable. Yep. Load companies into pandas data frame to find index column. So geolocator, marker cluster, these are the variables that we have created, but we are not using it yet, which is okay, which is fine. What's the next step? We are going to iterate over the data frame. Why are we going to iterate over data frame? Well, it's pretty obvious. We want to go over each row, find the name of the country, okay, get the name of the country, and then run it through our geolocator, get a latitude and longitude for that. And yeah, that's it. Like that is what we need to do. So let's do that. So for index comma row, so index and row, these are my two variables that I'm creating. In what is my data frame called? It is called as companies underscore data. And then you can do something called as iter rows, which is like iterable. Okay, allows you to iterate over every row. So for index and row in companies data, I will first write bad code, and then we can try doing the good code. So first I will create a variable. Let's call it like country query equals to like this particular row that we are getting. In that, get the country column. Okay, we know that our data contains a column which is called country. So go over our data frame and specifically take this country column. So get the value from the country column. So from first row, from the country column, get the value, which would be like in this case, United States, right? And we can actually, if you want, you can do something like st dot write and go like f strings, which is like formatting strings. And we can just go country underscore query. What is this returning? Does it ever happen to you that you're writing something so many times that the spelling seems wrong? For some reason, I feel like country is spelled wrong. I don't know. I think there's a phenomena for that. Yeah, so as you can see, it is giving something, but it's giving a lot. Okay, it's going to return thousand of thousand lines. That is nice, but it's also a lot. Okay, so for the time being, for the sake of our sanity and for the sake of like reducing the amount of data that is returned, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to go back after like loading the data set. So after this part, I'm going to slice and show a range of rows. So we are going to slice our uh, we are going to slice our data set, and we are going to only show like certain amount of data. Why? Because again, thousands, it would be very difficult to kind of go over and see, okay, is everything being plotted correctly? But if it is 20, at least like we can go like the first 20 or 21 to 30, 21 to 40 or something. It would be much easy to kind of understand what's going on, and if there is any error, it would be easy to navigate through it. So I'm going to take this variable again, reassign it, and I'm going to tell it that from company's data, which is coming here, only pick the rows uh, 11 to 30. Okay, so I'm taking this company's data, which has like 1,000 rows, and I'm telling it like only return the rows from like this 11 to 30 and put it again in company's data so that it can be shown on the data frame. Now let's go here, reload this. What happens? So 11 to 30 we said. So it starts from 12, goes all the way to 30. Okay, rank 12 to rank 30. And we have less data, and we also have like we still have too many United States. Let's try 200 to 220. Maybe that will have less United States. Uh, okay, still. United States, but at least we have kind of a variety here. Okay. And this is much better. Like 20 countries, much easy to see and find errors, if any. And oh, yeah, exactly. Like sometimes I'm like, am I? It's like after you write something too many times or read something too many times, it's like, is this even correct? Okay. Of course, if you want to also for this particular piece of code, if you want to go over all thousand, you can go like 0 to 1,000, I guess. So that starts from ranking one, and that should go all the way to rank 1,000. Okay, so you can do something like that as well if you want everything. But in our case, I'm going for like 200 to 220. Let's say companies with the rank 200 to 220 in a way, I would say 201. Sorry, 201 to 220. Okay, so that's done. We have less data, and it's much easy to understand what's going on as opposed to 1,000 lines of data. So I'm going to cut that line. That was just to show you what's getting printed or what's happening. Now let's write the next line, which is going to be, we are going to create a variable called as location. Also, let me quickly check. Uh, yeah, I think after this we can take a quick break and then come back and finish this. So we are going to create a variable called as location, and then I'm going to call my variable called as geolocator. Okay. And there is on geolocator, there exists something called as .geocode. If only I can find it. Yeah, there it is. So geolocator.geocode. So that is what we are going to do. Geolocator.geocode, and it needs an address. As you can see here, it needs an address to geocode. In our case, it's not going to be an address, it's actually going to be the country name, right? Which is this country query variable. So I'm going to paste exactly that. So geolocator.geocode country query. And this should ideally return us the latitude and longitude, right? So how do we check that? So we can print like location, which is this variable. So we are also calling ours as location, location dot latitude and location dot longitude. So let's do that. Like let's just print it briefly. You don't have to write this. This is just for your understanding. I'm going to use f string and I'm going to say like country query, and from location I will get two things. So I should get ideally location dot uh, location dot latitude. So let me copy paste this because I'm lazy. So location dot latitude is what we are getting. Yeah, I think this should work unless I've made some horrible mistake. Let's reload that. Okay, and it started printing. So for Canada, this is the location that's being returning. And as you can see, this and this, okay, both of them are Canada, and both of them have the exact like returning the same latitude and longitude, right? So that is why we are using the markers, so that we can plot on the same exact latitude and longitude multiple like multiple companies. And as you can see, by giving it the country name, we got latitude and longitude back, which is nice. Okay, so I think this should be a perfect point to take a break. Now the question here is, how can we handle the local data and a huge amount of data? So like example, if you have like thousands of locations, how can you do that? And I actually am going to solve that. Okay, now I'm confused. So initially I understood, like, if you want to, let's say, plot like these 1,000 companies or 10,000 companies, how do you do that? Well, we have to go over our geocoder and give it all the country names and get the location back. But in that case, we don't want to overwhelm the geocoder. We don't want to overwhelm nominatim in this case. So what we can do is we can either use like multiple geocoders at the same time. So we can use like 5 or 6 geocoders at the same time, give it the data and ask it for the exact location, latitude and longitude, collate them together. That could be one way. Let me come back on screen so that my body language kind of makes sense. Uh, so give it to multiple geocoders, get the latitude and longitude, collate them, and mostly if you are, let's say, passing country name, uh, the return from different geocoders, like when I say different geocoders, I mean like this list of geocoders like Baidu, Geocode Earth, Geocodio, GeoLake, Photon, TomTom, what three words, like so many. If you give it country name, ideally they would return the same or nearly similar latitude and longitude. So it would be easy. So you cannot, like, it shouldn't be a problem as such. Number one. Number two is that yeah, once they return something, and once you have collated, you can plot it on folium. You can plot huge amount of data on folium. Also, you should use things like, let's say, cluster, like marker cluster, so that you do not overwhelm the user with too much data. Also, you don't overwhelm the system with too much small points. If you have clustered it, what would happen is once you click on that cluster, then it would go and get the precise latitude and longitude. Initially it would just show, like, from the outer perspective there are like 50 data points in this country. Click on it, it divides into like 25, 25. Click on it, then 12 and 13, like, you can go deep and deep and deep, and it would not overwhelm the system, it would not overwhelm the user as such. And of course, if you have data of a precise location, which is the second question. So the first question was this, and the second question is this, which is if you have data of a precise location, then like you have, okay, yeah, kind of makes sense now your question. So if you have, like, let's say, multiple of these addresses, then you can pass that, but ensure that you also kind of do a time dot sleep in between, so that again the geocoder does not get overwhelmed. You give it location like this half location and get the latitude and longitude back. Does that kind of make sense? Use multiple geocoders, divide your data set into, like, let's say if you have 10,000, okay, let's say you have 1,000 uh, rows of address, then in that case use at least 5 geocoders, I would say. Okay, you can use 5 geocoders. uh, you can give it like the first 200 goes to first one, the second 200 goes to second, like the second geocoder, third 200 goes to next geocoder, so on and so forth. So every geocoder will only have to return latitude and longitude of 200 addresses. Once you have the latitude and longitude, you create a new data frame, add them, and then you can use folium to plot 1,000. So plotting 1,000 latitudes and longitudes is not a problem. You can use folium, plotly. These are the only two things that I remember right now. That because that's the only two things that we used uh, to plot them. Okay, I think this would be the perfect time to take a quick break. Uh, so we're like 1 hour, 5 minutes into the stream. We can take a quick break. I say quick because, like, just 5-minute break, and then we can come back and continue working on this, complete this, uh, see if we have time to deploy it on Streamlit, and yeah, move ahead from there. Anyone who is left behind a bit, you can go over from here, like you can get the code here, and yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Don't go away. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Let me add a banner or a ticker. uh, what is the time here? It's 13:06. Let's say 13:10. PST should be fine enough. Okay, so let's be back in 5 minutes. See ya. If you have any questions, put it in the chat and I'll answer them once I'm back. Hello, hello, and I'm back. Okay, let's hide this, and let's also move this pop-up. Yep, that should be good enough. And okay, I hope everyone's back from their break, and thank you. Welcome back to you as well. And I hope everyone's back from the break, and now we can continue. So before going on break, we saw that we were using a geocoder to geocode slash get the exact latitude and longitude of a location of a country name, to be precise. And so let me like change the music a bit. Is there a nice one? Yeah. Nope. Yeah, much better. Okay. So yeah, let's continue actually. So what we have done till now, okay, we have done a bunch of things. You don't need to actually write this. Okay, you don't need to print it out. And now what's the next step? Once we have the location, we can plot it. Okay, so I'm going to create a pop-up underscore message. This was, if you remember from yesterday, when you click on a particular marker, which in yesterday's case was either a line or it was also a airplane, uh, you get a pop-up saying what it is. So we are going to add that part. Let me move away from the screen so that you can focus. uh, so let's create that pop-up message. So I'm going to say that for pop-up, let's create an f string where step one, from the row, like from each row that we are getting, let's say we need the company name. You can also have the rank, right? So let's say row of ranking colon, so rank colon company name, uh, comma, we can go like, let's say row of country. Okay, let me like do a control s slash command s on it. That should format it. Seems like this is the best formatting that is available. So we are going to like, when we click on a location, it is going to give a pop-up where it would be like ranking colon, so like let's say 221 colon company name, whatever that would be, comma, which country is it in. Okay, so that's our pop-up message. Let's do the plotting. So fo is our folium, dot marker is one of the methods that we are going to use. We should give it the location. We need to give it a location. We can go something like, this location that we have. So we can go like location dot latitude, comma, location dot longitude. Where is this location dot latitude and longitude coming from? It's coming from like from a geocoder, right? And we had also printed it out. Once we have that, so once you have given this location, you can give it a pop-up message. So you can go like pop-up equals to our custom pop-up message, pop-up message. Okay, and then you need to add this to the marker cluster. This marker cluster that we had created, you need to add it there. And yep, I think that should be it actually. Let's go back, let's reload this page. So that's our country. Oh, key error ranking. Ah, can't plot the rank, it seems. Okay, it's running. Let's give it a bit of time. And there we have it. So there are these marker clusters, right? And let's say I click on this 11, and it's divided into these two parts, 9 and 2. I click on this. There's this company name which is in Mexico. There's Walmart de Mexico, SAB de CV. It's in Mexico or Mexico. If there are too many companies like in United States, as you can see, it gives this nice uh, thing where you can like click, and then you can click on each marker, gives you the name of the company and the location. That's how we are printing it, right? And what about other places? So there's like, here there are two markers. There's Germany, there's Austria, there's Switzerland right here, and then there, it seems to me, like three in France. Yep, AXA, France, France, France. Okay, so it was that simple, right? So we have actually plotted something on a map, and yeah, we got the latitude and longitude thanks to our geocoder and kind of plotted it. Now, what about if I go from like 0 to 50? Okay, these are the companies that are there. There should be 50 companies, right? That should get plotted. So let me reload this whole thing, and it is running something. uh, I think it would be a good idea to kind of print out what it is running, like, the company name and the country or something, so that we know what's happening. Otherwise, the weight looks like unbearable. Okay, once that is done, there's like 33 plus 10, 43, plus 6, 49, plus 150. Okay, Accenture Ireland, Shell United Kingdom, AstraZeneca United Kingdom, Netherlands, Denmark. Okay, this we had already seen, I guess. Tencent Holdings China, China, Taiwan. Then here it is South Korea and Japan. Okay, and this we already seen. There are 33 companies here. Lots, actually, like this is huge. So you can see this like nice spiral that's coming in, right? So yep, there we go. And this is nice. Now let me tell you, uh, like there is one of the things which could in future create a problem. What is that? So we are using this nominatim as one of our geocoders. There's another geocoder which is called as photon that is available, as we have seen. So if you like choose to go with photon, what happens? So like I'm importing that here. I will also change it in this geocoder place. Even that needs a user agent, so that is fine. Also, once we are querying, let's actually print out that st dot write f string geocoding result for uh, what is the country, like which country it is. So country query colon uh, location address. So location address is coming from this, country query is here. Okay, so we're printing that out as well, so that if we know that something is happening. So it is returning something. Okay, so geocoding result for United States, for this, for this, for this. Now for Taiwan, it returned in Taiwanese, maybe. For Saudi Arabia, it returned in Arabic. So for some countries, it is returning in in a different language. Like for China, it returned in Mandarin slash Chinese. And now, hmm, and now that does not look exactly like a problem as such, but we would prefer if it returned the data in the language that we understand, right? So there is this very like simple thing that you could do. Also, as you can see, Switzerland is plotted here. Okay, yeah, this was the problem. So Switzerland, pretty sure it's not in USA, right? So why is this happening? For some reason, it is returning this thing here, like Switzerland in Indiana, United States. And yeah, that is a problem that could happen sometimes. And also, again, the language problem, like the location address returned in a separate language. So you can actually give it a very simple thing, which is just language equals to English, okay, as an option. And that should do the trick. Okay, but still, this is still a problem. So you kind of need to find a geocoder which is more precise, or you may need to go back and see what's happening there. Okay, as in like if you can add more data to it. Also, you can add a variable called as timeout. Okay, so the timeout will like tell your code that if a data is not returned in, like, let's say 20 seconds in this case, ignore it and move on. I'm going to go back to using nominatim, and everything else can remain the same. And yeah, how do I improve this code? Also, yeah, this index variable, I think we can use that. Can go like index colon this. And now let's see. Yeah, 50 plotting takes time. Sorry. Let me see if there. Yeah, I know, right? It just looks so good in a way. So that, and let's go back here. So now at least nothing's going here and saying like, oh, Switzerland. Okay. Okay, perfect. I think that's nice and workable. And there's one here, Saudi Arabia. And this time, Switzerland ones are plotted where they are supposed to be. Okay, now how can you improve this part of code? As in, like, how can you write some amount of like good code here? It would be very simple. We should like just add a few things. One would be, let's say, a try catch block, so that if there's any error, it can catch it and show it. So try, and I've moved everything inside a bit. So try first. So we are going to get the location. Okay, if location is found, so we can add a if condition here. So if location, so if this returns actually a location, then we can kind of write it on streamlit, like print it out. And yeah, then we can create the pop-up message and the marker. Now for this if, I would prefer to write an else. saying that, yeah, else you can go something like st.error. St.error gives a nice red colored background. Okay, so f string, and you can go like uh, what, geocoding failure. Okay, geocoding failure for, let's say, index colon the country underscore query. Okay, so that is nice to debug. This try needs a except block, so let's do that. I can go two steps back and go like, hmm, here I can go like else, or not else, sorry, except uh, now you can go for a generic exception that exists. So accept exception as e, like rename it. Like if an exception happens, then again st dot error, and again an f string saying that geocoding error. uh, what is the error you can print for, I think you should have the country query present, because that's a variable that was created before the try block. So yep, that looks kind of good. We have kind of added a exception handling. Remember the second thing I said, that you do not want to overwhelm the system, do not want to overwhelm the geocoder in this case, like nominatim, because most of these are either servers that are running on like public infrastructure. So a nice way, a good thing to do is to add a timeout. So you can import the time library, and after this, like let's say location, and if location you do this, else send an error. After this else, you can actually go something like time dot sleep, and I can go like 1 second. So so now it will wait for like 1 second. Like to show you, I can go like, let's say, 5 seconds. So now if we go back, reload this, it is going to show first result, wait for 5 seconds, then it is going to query nominatim, get the second result, and then third, then fourth, then fifth, so on and so forth. And for country query, we can also get, I think, the company name. Yep, because like geocoding result for United States is United States, kind of looks weird. So now if I do that, well, that should have, hmm, interesting. Where's it? Yeah, this is the, that is weird. It should have given, if I'm like not wrong, should have given me the company name and yeah, there we go. I had to stop the server and restart once. Maybe like it has cached or something. So geocoding result for Apple, comma United States is United States. So we know it is retrieving, and the time dot sleep is nice. Now I'm going to like reduce it to like 0.5 seconds. That would be like faster. So that is another good thing that you could do, is to add a time dot sleep, and so that it's like does not overwhelm. Also, instead of using just a generic exception, you can use specific exceptions that come from the GeoPy library. So to import specific exceptions, like uh, you can do something like from geopy dot exc. So from geopy exceptions library, import specifically geocoder timeout. Where did I find this? It was exception. Yeah, there we go. So there's geopy.exe. We are using geocoder timeout, or geocoder not unavailable, or geocoder not found. Uh, like these are some of the exceptions that exist. So you can, instead of using like a generic one, you can use this. There should also be geocoder quota exceeded. Okay, like if you're using some geocoder library, like in this case OpenCage, it needs a API key. So you have to create an account on their website, get an API key, but you might have a quota. Like, you can only get like 1,000 addresses per day, or 5,000, like, or 100 addresses per second. So you can also get this error of geocoder quota exceeded error. Okay, so instead of plotting a generic error, you can, like, showing a generic error to the user or something, you can go like, uh, first import it, geocoder quota exceeded. Hopefully it's the right thing. I'm going to copy paste that. I don't trust my spellings at the moment. Yeah, it was exactly the same. And it was geopy.exe, right? Geopy.exe. Yep. And now I can, here, instead of this generic exception, you can have a tuple of multiple exceptions. So you can go like for any of these exceptions. Okay, so for any of these exceptions occur, you rename it as E, and here you can then show like the error that has occurred, kind of. Okay, so that is actually it about the session. We have gracefully handled plotting multiple things, and let me reload this, show you finally how it looks like. We're waiting for like zero point 0.5 seconds, so that should have been faster. It's still waiting for 5 seconds, it seems. uh, Let me stop it and restart Streamlit. Also, let me clear the shell and Streamlit run main.py. Let's rerun this. Let's restart this. And what? What is it not geocoder timeout? Oh, it's geocoder timed out. My bad. Yeah, makes much more sense. Maybe. Let's hit reload. Yep, getting it faster, like just a wait of 0.5 seconds now. You're going to get like 50 companies And once that is done, it will plot it. Now, how much time do we have left? We have like 15ish minutes. Okay, there's a question. I will try, but before that, let me show you how can you push this code to GitHub and deploy it using Streamlit. Okay, so we'll do that quickly. uh, while this is plotting, and this needs to be renamed here. Yeah. So what do you have to do if you want to push the code that you have to GitHub and then deploy? Like for deploying, you need to push it to GitHub. Okay, as simple as that. So you can go to this tools option that is on like your bottom left and search for this option called as Git. Okay, click on that, and now I'm going to reduce the size of this and this. And here it says create initial commit with all changes, initialize Git repository. Okay, let me also expand this. Initialize Git repository, I'm going to click on it. Once you click on it, it says checking if main branch can be pushed, and it will be stuck at this point. You can click on this settings, and it says enter remote URL, repository name, repository description. So I'm going to say repository name is going to be the name of this uh, underscore ut, let's say, and not any repository description. It's going to be a public repository. So you can toggle between these two things. And hopefully you have connected your GitHub account with like Replit. If you have not, all you have to do is go into their like go I think into the user's profile or account, one of those things. And mm, yeah, oh yep, connected services, GitHub. Okay, so you can connect your GitHub account here. Mine is already connected. So I'm going to click on this create GitHub repository. Now, I don't know if it is going to work properly because I had done this in the past. Like before this session, I tried it. That's why I'm showing it. So once you click on that settings, click on create repository on GitHub. And if you have connected your GitHub previously, which you can do by going into your profile and changing it, then it should create something on your GitHub. Now, this is where it has created for me. So I'm going to take that link and paste. And as you can see, it has created an empty repository. Okay, there's nothing pushed. So now I'm going to come back here. And as you can see, that sync has stopped. You have to click on this push branch as origin/main. Click on that. Pass GitHub credentials. It looks like you're trying to do this. You say confirm for this session and wait for it, and then it says nothing to, if you say it, if it says nothing to pull or push, go back, reload this, and as you can see, all the code that I have written is now present here. Okay, it exists here. You can add a readme if you want. Don't do it from here. Go back to your code. You will also see like this .git file folder created. Okay, you can add a readme file here. Let's go to Streamlit and sort that out. You have to go to Streamlit. So you can go to like this part with this link, share.streamlit.io. Go here, click on this connect with GitHub. Okay, authorize Streamlit and authentication code. I'm going to move this away from screen, of course, for now. And enter your authentication code. This is for like two-factor authentication. I think by like you have to enable it now. So just hold on while I'm entering the authentication code. Okay, see, this is where I end up. Okay, so add your like start your free trial basically, and you enter the details that are required. So first name required, email required. You select like fill all of that. I'm going to again go off the screen and I'm going to add that. Interesting. I forgot which email. Then it asks what is your functional area. You can go like, let's say if you're a student, what stage is your app at. You can do all of that. What country or origin, that is also required. uh, so it has a bunch of questions for you to answer, and then you click on continue. So once you have added all that data, this is where you reach no apps to show in workspace. You can click on new app option and again authorize Streamlit. And now which repo do you want? Like I want this thing. What is the main file path? So it's not called Streamlit app.py. It's called as main.py, right? And what is this app URL? You can kind of like, it's auto generated, but you can also rename it to something that you want. There are some advanced settings that if you want, like what Python version it should work on, some stuff like that. Click on deploy. Okay, once you click on deploy, it should start deploying. You should receive an email, which I just did. uh, and you can, like, if you click on this bottom right manage app, you can see what's happening. Okay, and while that happens, let me come back on screen and let me focus on this aspect. Yeah, we have like 5 more minutes. So yeah, as I said, like there are multiple geocoders that are available. So this geopy.geocoders, we are importing like two geocoders here, right? So you can write a function. Okay, I'll try to kind of add it. So in this case, what are we doing? We are taking all the rows that are available, like 0 to 50 rows, but you can basically write a line slash function which divides data and sends to multiple, to different, not multiple, to different geocoders. Example, like for data in a range 0, I think this is how you do. So 0 to 200, and then you can like give it to so geolocator, like let's say 1 is nominatim. You can have like geolocator underscore 2, which could be photon. And then here 0 to 200 goes to like geolocator underscore, like you can copy paste this, and in here it could be like geolocator underscore 1. And then for data, like the next part, like for data in range 201 to 400, it goes to geolocator 2. So that is what I meant by like different geolocators. And after you have done that, right now I'm directly marking it on the map. But in your case, you can have a separate variable, like new data frame, which you can define initially as like empty, new underscore data frame, which is like empty array. And here you can like kind of append, yeah, I think append the country name and the location. So country underscore query, and the company underscore name, let's say, and the location dot latitude and location dot longitude. Okay, so that is what I meant. So that ways you give your data to multiple geocoders, and one geocoder we'll do like 200, next we'll do like next 200, and so on and so forth. And that ways you can use multiple geocoders and you don't have to overwhelm one, and you won't get banned for using like one geocoder for 10,000. uh this Yep, I hope that kind of makes sense. Let me see if this has worked for now. And okay, this app has encountered an error. What's the problem? Oh, I think I understand. So because we pip installed some data, it is not present in poetry log file. Okay, so folium is not present in poetry log file. So to do that, you can click on this run icon, uh, ensure that it gets added to poetry log file, and I think that should do the trick. And probably you would need to go back here. You need to push it again. Like, let's say I don't want this resync. Yeah, these are the files that changed. So I'm going like stage all. Commit is add depths to poetry lock, POETRY. Also, meanwhile, if you have any questions, please let me know. We are going to end this session in like next 2 minutes. Stage and commit all changes and modified. And now to push it, you can click on this push, and that should ideally push it. And if you go back to your repositories, reload, go here, you can see the latest commit is add depths to poetry lock. And now if I go back to my Streamlit application, it should automatically start pulling because new things have happened. So it should start pulling. Also, a better way would be to create a requirements.txt file if you want. uh, yeah, that would be nicer. Okay, yeah. So yep, that is all from me. Any questions, anyone, before we end this session? It's been a pleasure, definitely. I hope you learned something new. I hope yeah, this has been helpful so far. After this session you have a session with dimmer. And yep, as you can see, my Streamlit app has now been deployed. Okay, and it has started, so that is nice. Yeah, so after this session you have a session with dimmer where you learn about Svelte, which is interesting because I'm going to stay back to learn about it. Yes, there is dimmer. Okay, so yep, thank you so much everyone. I hope you have learned something, as I said before. And if you have any questions later, I'm going to push my code. You already know that it is on one of my GitHub, but I have a primary GitHub where I'm going to push it. I will add more comments, detailed comments about what it is doing, why is it doing whatever it is doing. And yeah, have a nice Sunday, everyone. Enjoy your time in GHW. Learn a lot. Have loads of fun. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. This is so heartfelt. Okay. See you all next GHW, at least from my side. But stay back and enjoy the next session. See you all. Bye.